Welcome back. Welcome back.
Go get yourself some gummy worms. It's a lifesaver. Welcome to another episode of D.I.E. D.I.E. where we find diversity in everything. We're going to talk about some really cool things. Last episode, we talked about some really cool things in that episode that you're going to have to go and watch that episode to find out about. And this episode, we're going to talk about a lot of cool things as well that you're going to have to stay tuned for. So with that being said, today's topic is
Or should we say tonight's topic?
tonight's topic is oh man, what's tonight's topic?
Procrastination
Procrastination
and the lack of will of completing a task.
and the lack of will of completing a task.
Or a challenge, just the lack of will of completion,
Yeah.
we should say.
Which is pretty prevalent within the black community in general.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to wait on a lot,
Yeah.
A lot of times, our parents, our grandparents, they was waiting on the Lord. And then after that, around our parents' time, they was waiting on the government. And now it seems like we're in current time waiting on ourselves. So it has funneled down to a system of waiting on everything around us to really manifest before we even move in the direction, before we even ask a question or get the information. Like it's not like we won't even research a thing just because we feel like it's just not the right time or whatever.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that. Like, we feel as if, like... Alright, so, it's something that I've been saying, right, lately. And I'm speaking as far as, like, just myself and things that I've realized that I've done that I also see in, other people that look like me, black, are African Americans, black people, black you, whatever the fuck you want to call us. But it's like we're waiting for the open door to reveal itself. Like we step to the door and we're expecting the door to be wide open to where we could see inside the room, right? And if we can't see inside the room, we assume and we take it as fact that door is closed. We don't even take the initiative to reach for the doorknob, to jiggle it, to see if it's unlocked. You know what I'm saying? We just perceive the door as closed because it's not given. It's like it's not just open. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that kind of speaks to what you were saying right now when you were like, we don't even go search for it because we feel like it's not the right time. We don't even go search for the information because we almost feel as if the information is supposed to miraculously present itself and then show us, and show us what the fuck to do, and boom,
That brings me to like two scriptures actually in my upbringing, where you walk by faith and not by sight. And the thing of that is we tend to try and do that, but that's how we got into this this issue with waiting. It looked bad, so I'm gonna keep doing the same thing that I'm doing because I'm walking by faith, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what we did was use these things as a crutch. What it's really saying is you have to understand what faith actually means, and it's like faith is a tangible thing that is built off of intangible belief, the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. So it's like you believe so much in something that it becomes tangible, but also faith without works is dead. So all of this belief that you have in this untangible thing that is becoming tangible, and now you have some type of sustenance to go and create this tangible manifestation of a thing or a dream or a vision or a goal, and we don't put in the work.
Yeah.
So we really have to identify where we are. Am I at the point where my vision is the issue? Am I walking by what I see and not by what I believe? Am I at the point where my faith is the issue, to where I believe so much that I don't really understand the work that I need to put in? Or is it myself that is the issue, that I know what I believe and I know the work that I have to put in, but which leads us to our topic, but I don't have the willpower to walk into my belief. I don't have the willpower within myself to actually
Take that first step.
take that step, and each point is a pivotal point, but each person should identify where they are at that stage, and then navigate from there, but the end all is you have to walk by faith and not by sight. Know what faith is, research that on your own time, and then actually put in the work for what you believe for.
Yeah, no. I mean, I definitely agree with the lack of will to complete a task, based off of like just my own experiences, and like I procrastinated a lot because I did feel as if I had multiple opportunities available to me because I'm talented. Like, one thing that I always hear, that it's funny that I always hear, especially from one of my relatives, is that it's a trait about me that he likes, that he wants to kind of like take on. And so it's a lot of traits from him that I be wanting to take on too, you know what I'm saying, just to kind of help mold me into like a better person, what I feel is my best self. And he was all like, you can make yourself comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, and it's funny because that's something that's just natural. It's like a talent, for me, but because I'm able to make myself comfortable in uncomfortable situations, it allows me to have a lot of opportunities to where I feel like, oh, I'll just be able to get another opportunity, like, right, this just not it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a better opportunity, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna work out, like, and that's the procrastination and the lack of will to complete the task. You got the lighting? I got the lighting. You got the lighting? Yeah. Appreciate that. Right, and so, like, I was a person who did not walk by faith, like, and that wasn't too long ago. I say I've probably been on this path for maybe like, I've always been on some type of religious path, but I've been on this spiritual path, the spiritual journey for maybe like a year and a half now, and recently Um, bro, I quit the job, to pursue, what I felt was right for my passion, for my path. One of those is definitely like working with the kids. Um, it was based off of me chasing something and then realizing that that wasn't good because of something that happened to me physically, you know what I'm saying, health-wise. I experienced my first anxiety attack, bruh. Well, what I knew as my first anxiety attack, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I know that that's a place that I never want to go again. So I never want to go against what I feel is my passion, right? So I feel like I had put myself in that position to have that anxiety attack because I wasn't walking by faith, right? So then I'm like, well, I'm gonna quit my job. Everything gonna work out. Da, 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 da. So walking by faith, right? I completely went from like not in to like all in, you know? And like I'm definitely getting the money I need to pay bills, but if I want to do something else, you know what I'm saying, I no longer have that extra fund, and there's other avenues of where I can get it, and at a point in time, I almost felt bad for trying to go get it because I felt like I almost wasn't living in faith, like, you know what I'm saying. And it was funny because I was talking to the homie the other day, maybe about like 2-3 weeks ago, and I was saying that I felt like I was trying to be so spiritual about it, I wasn't being spiritual about it. Like I was trying to be so like, oh, well, I'm walking faith, everything gonna work itself out, that I was not paying attention to some of the signs that was telling me like this is the time. Stop procrastinating. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I thought about it recently, which is why I came to you the way I came to you today about starting the channel, because we've been talking about starting the channel for over a month and a half. And I realized, bro, that was a form of procrastination. You know what I mean? Yeah, right now, you in Cali, you're gonna go back to Detroit. But that shouldn't stop us because we have technology now. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the form of procrastination and the lack of will to complete a task. And I'm like, I'm done with that. Like, like it's time to take action. Like now, you know what I'm saying? Like speak the affirmations, write them bitches down, and then put the work to the faith. Like it's time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I know and I feel that I feel the next person on the reason why we may, as a black community, may procrastinate or have that lack of will, to complete the task because of what we've been going through. Yeah, my fault.
What are some why do you think we as a culture procrastinate more than other cultures? Like is what it seems to, do you have a thought on what the root of this is?
Like I think it's the lack of knowing who we used to be, and also the fear of attempting to be great. Because once again, it's not too many black people that become great in society that does not get, that fight for the cause, they become great and fight for the cause and don't get assassinated in some form of fashion. You know what I'm saying? Like it so I think that continues to install that fear of wanting to be great. Just like the slaves, like because they saw what happened if somebody tried to escape slavery, it put the fear in them to try to escape slavery. It was still a choice to either be a slave or die, just like it's still a choice to either procrastinate or succeed. And we're still choosing the procrastination method. You know, and I think that's the reason why as a society, I mean, as a community, we're afraid to be great. Because, I mean, even, bro, you think about it, bro. If I got me a foreign car, got me a Benz, Beamer, Rolls, you know what I'm saying? Like, Lambo, any foreign car that's expensive. If a cop sees me in that car, I'm immediately getting pulled over. No questions asked. You see what I'm saying? Like, but a cop can pass by a white boy in the same car, smoking a joint, and wave at him, and keep it pushing.
I think there are definitely some fears based off of systematic
Perception.
institutions.
Institutions.
Because those are institutions.
Yeah.
They have created systems of fear. You know, it's not. You know, without those institutions, that fear wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, you know, I think we really are insecure about who we are as men and women of color. Even within our circle of each other. And I think we rather not move at all than fail. It's the fear of failure that cripples us of, see, if I'm right here, I didn't mess up. So my goal is not to mess up, because that's what we were taught. Don't mess up. Don't mess this up.
Yeah.
But see, other cultures are taught, go ahead. If you mess it up, I got you. Go ahead. Listen, this is what I'm here for. Yeah. It's okay. You're just learning. You know, but those thoughts and those character traits, because that's what they begin to build, are inherited.
Yeah.
Meaning they're not passed down. So it just it becomes our insecurity of our lack of belief and the lack of knowledge that we have in our ability to succeed. And what happens from there is we say we're gonna do what's safe, you know, like we're gonna chill it at the crib and we're gonna just play it safe, you know. And that's culturally what we've been doing, but we also have been caught up in boredom. What happens in that lifestyle is boredom, and I think boredom is a direct derivative of procrastination. You begin to procrastinate to the point of boredom. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like you didn't have nothing to do. You procrastinated, and then there was nothing left. So now I am bored. And most people get into situations of stupidity due to boredom. because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you haven't used the functions of your um, I want to say cognitive abilities, but it's more so the functions of your there's really like I don't know this verbatim, so I know this to by hearsay per se.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a chemical release when we reward ourselves with, you know, there is I don't want to say it because I don't want to sound, I want to say oxytocins, but there's chemicals released when we reward ourselves or complete a goal or some things happen for us, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we grow and mature within our consciousness. But if we never develop that right there, we become complacent, and we don't use those functions.
Mm-hmm.
So we then begin to digress in
Mm-hmm.
the midst of our boredom. Like our minds digress.
Yeah.
And then you be like, dang, I was really smart as a kid, but I thought like I was smart this whole time, but I only really learned what I learned when I was a kid. And I was holding on to the smartness from then. You know, and we a theory that a friend of mine, what I began to call is arrested development. There's a certain point at which we get where it's either a traumatic experience or some type of situation where we become arrested in our development. We stop developing at this age, but we still become, you know, adults. You know, but there are areas in our lives that like it's like arrested development. So when boredom comes, it begins to, you sink back into areas or places like memory recall or like you know what I mean,
You
like
get back to doing the same shit that you was trying to stop yourself from doing.
off boredom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so but this is a direct result of procrastination. So this is like, why don't I procrastinate? Because I'm gonna get bored, and this is what happens in my boredom, and this is why I'm in the cycle that I'm in, because I'm always bored. But it was, you know what I'm saying, like, because we really don't understand the result of things. We never really take notice of the daily functions of what a actual cocoon does. You know, we say this is a caterpillar. This is its function.
Mm-hmm.
This is a butterfly. This is its function. It was in a cocoon, but we never say this cocoon developed and did this and did that at each point of its development to then become this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we kind of take that part out, and
We don't glorify the development. We glorify the manifestation.
we're so manifestation hungry.
Mm.
We manifestation hungry when we really should be structurally sound, if anything, which would manifest within itself. Manifestation doesn't have to be sought for because it's already always happening.
Yeah.
It's always happening. So it's not something that has to be, I need this to manifest. No. You need to, you know, do the work. And even if you could expedite the work, or you could stop time or reverse time, whatever your goal is.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
The
Mm-hmm.
you just have to know your time and space. Make sure you watch that first episode.
Yeah, nah. I mean, it's like, I think it's after you know your time and space, you have to accept it. Because I think that with accepting it and not going against it to the point where it's bringing negative thoughts into your into your psyche. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like accepting it. It's like, okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, that's okay. How can I further my shit? How can I stop the procrastination? How can I stop doing what I've been doing for so long in order to deprogram that shit and attempt to actually reprogram ourselves to the point where we then have the will. We're actually, the will of completing the task makes us happy. Us learning along, you know what I'm saying, while completing the task is the enjoyable part. You know, like, and I think that's like one thing that's like with working with kids, it's helped me, I mean, I got my own kid, but it's all like working with more than just one, and then especially someone that's not literally from my loins, because this child is not in my house all day every day. This child has a completely different psyche. This child has a completely different upbringing. You know what I'm saying? They have a whole different perception. So working with them, it brings a certain amount of patience, which allows me to enjoy the building that happens between me and that child as we're working through the drill. You know what I'm saying? And I see the frustration, but then I see the happiness that the child receives, and the confidence that the child now now with still now instills within thyself,
Yeah.
to continue to push forward, and that gives them the will to want to complete the task. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like they no longer procrastinate. But with working with them, it also helps me work with myself, because then I start seeing areas of myself, and it's like, okay, well, look, all right, fine. So if you telling them this and you not doing this, you a whole ass hypocrite, you know. And not only am I a whole ass hypocrite. You got the lighter to find?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. I then find myself subconsciously staying in the safe mode of what my parents taught me, as of do what I say, not as I do,
Not as I do.
which is a whole ass hypocrite, and it's
Yeah.
confusing as hell. So then it's all like, okay, if I'm supposed to do as you say and not as you do, and you not even doing it, that means you procrastinating. So that is now being programmed within myself, because this is what I see. This is what I see my parents do, and every child eventually, you know what I'm saying? We just had and naturally had, not even eventually. Eventually, we end up growing out of wanting to be like our parents. If we don't like how our parents completely are,
We grow
everything,
out of or into.
or into, exactly, wanting to be like our parents, but it's just a natural feeling to want to adopt their ideologies, because they are our parents,
Yeah.
so, and I think that, like, honestly, bruh, I feel like sometimes, like, I don't want to push my ideology so much on my son to where now I'm just developing a complete mini me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a complete clone. Like I want to give him the tools to be able to think wisely and then choose for himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why now I've literally gotten to the point where I don't really choose anything for him no more. I give him the information, I give him the tools, and I allow him to choose.
It's good.
Wow.
WOW. So I agree. What I really took from that reminded me of a couple of stories. One being, when I was working in this daycare, and it was this kid in particular, and he kept saying like, I'm slow, I'm stupid, hit himself in the head. Where are you getting this from? And I asked about his family and the information and everything. He had about 10 brothers and sisters and a single mom.
Ooh.
So it could be anyone, it could, who could teach this learned behavior. But I began, speak positive contradictions, and he began to like change, and then it began a time where within myself, I had to learn that certain things are just inherited.
Yeah.
And I had both my parents in my life, but I did not have conventional parenting, so it was not, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, y'all here, but it wasn't conventional, in that way. And it was great. Like I love both my parents, and the thing to that is, there are particular things due to the environments that I was in that I was able to inherit from people who were not my parents. And I began to learn and I began to grow with those things imparted into me. And that right there is a testament to say that really the cure to procrastination is setting a fire within each other and motivating each other to a degree where procrastination cannot exist in the air around us. It's really not a thing about the person in particular. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any goals or dreams or even have the conversations that we feel like we need to talk about. If someone really did like my brother just did me and say, yo, so what time today, not in any other form or fashion. And sometimes, we know if you got a homie and they schedule, we not doing nothing at all, and we could be doing something much more productive. It comes a time where it's just get it done, and do it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. It's really no real say so of to why, because everybody has their own story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the come up of how do we come up from a procrastination? How do we really come up out of that pit of boredom, you know, and the decisions that come with boredom. I actually, just to go a little deeper, I had a friend recently who was telling me about some decisions that they were making that were like just old to them. And I'm over this, but I get so bored and I just be like, whatever, you know. And I was like, well, you know, so what's what's your what's your what's your resolve to you know, for your vice, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you know, at the end of the day, I was like, yo, you just have to have some particular things that you say out in the atmosphere when this particular vice comes, and then you have to stay active. That was my advice for that particular person at that time. But at the same time, that we all have to have someone or be that someone who motivates that someone to be someone, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what it really comes down to in the culture, in the community. That should be our focus. It's not even about what they doing, how they doing it, what they doing it with. When it's just about getting it done, you know, by any means necessary. And it's not about, you know, just um, it's not about anything violent. It's not about anything malicious. It's not about anything manipulative. It's not about anything. It's really about I gone to a bunch of cities throughout, you know, throughout the United States, and I could say the difference between two in particular that I know. I won't say, but one more so looks at what you have done, and the other looks at how you treat people, and you come up differently based off of what you've done, or in this other place how you treat people. And it's funny the different economic structures that have been developed based off of those two business lifestyles. And I could say one is flourishing more than the other, and it's really about how you treat people, and when you motivate people and you keep people static, almost. It's about that almost like a friction. Like, this might rub you the wrong way, but this creates this friction of like motivation that we all need to just establish in the community.
No, definitely, man. Definitely, I agree with that. One motivates one, because with that one being motivated, it just naturally motivates the other one. You know what I'm saying? To just be better, work better. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we need to stop looking at each other as competition and more as companions. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always been, oh well, you know, I'm gonna use the phrase, and no disrespect, my faults, no disrespect. But it's just it's the mentality that we've been having is, you know, the crabs in the barrel, you know, like, it's as soon as one gets to the top, the bottom crab just pull it down, because they trying to get to the top, not knowing that we can actually, since they want to call us monkeys, have a monkey mentality. Look out for the family. Pull the next one up, because I mean, from what I know, one of the most popular toys when I was growing up, besides, you know, Jax, was the monkey in the barrels. How you had to connect every one, and then they'll all hold the barrel. Each one is is pulling they own certain amount of weight, and together they're pulling the overall weight, which is actually taking less strain off of that one person pulling just that entire thing. You know? And it's so funny because that literally derives back from our Kemet days when we did build everything. Everybody worked together. You know what I'm saying? Which took the load off of that, one ton stone, that they had to take off the ship, off the Nile, and take it up the ramp of the desert of sand.
And that's the thing that it's so funny because they talk about this foreign technology that's just so advanced. And it's so sad to know, but also so true within itself. There was a different level of slavery back then that we haven't seen in our time.
Yeah.
And there was a unity, like
because it was a care.
There was you know what I mean.
What you just said, it was still a care for the bottom person.
Exactly.
Like the bottom person didn't feel like the bottom person. You know what I'm saying? So it literally goes back to what you were saying. How you care, how you treat people. Not based off of how much money I can make off this person. And I think that we gotta adapt those ideas once again. And once we truly do that, at that point in time, that would decease all procrastination. And provide us the will to complete any task, because then we know with our brothers, any task is completable.
And that's what I mean by the thing that was actually sparked by this type of slavery, but understood within the community of the people beyond those who enslaved them, was the unity of how to build something. And there was such a unity within those groups of people because they stood together in a way that says, okay, we might be broken to this degree, but we will all stand together. And that unity built these beautiful things that still stand to this day. And that's the amazing technology that we have forgotten, is the unity of the people.
Facts.
That's it.
And what's so crazy is that unity of the people wasn't forgotten such long ago. Because that same unity of the people was the Black Panther Party. You know what I'm saying? We were all broken, but we came together and developed something great. And it was messed up because, once again, it was torn down by the establishment, just like Black Wall Street. But we need to get back to the point where we don't even allow that to happen. And that's one thing I do commend about that boy Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to my guy for real, because he jeopardized the law. And regardless of what happened, he kept that going. And it's the same thing that we gotta do, once again for our boy. R.I.P. Nip. That's one thing we gotta do. We gotta continue the marathon. But if we continue the marathon, that means we need to cancel out all procrastination, and we need to have that will. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Yeah, man. I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah. Peace out, y'all.
Yeah, take care, man. Y'all have a great night, man. Y'all enjoy your weekend.